Hey guys, welcome back to Talking Toilets. It's Alex here. We just wanted to point out, if you haven't already seen, that this episode is called the Blue Episode. We are trying to be responsible by pointing out that we deal with some darker sides of our own memories and histories and mentalities in this episode. And if you are yourself someone who goes to dark places, this might be an episode to miss out. On the other hand, it does have some fun bits, and we are, at the end of the day, just talking about toilets. Use your own discretion and come with us on a bit of a dive under the U-bend this week. Other than that, thank you very much for continuing to listen. We are approaching the end of the lockdown season. More news to come on what lies ahead, but there will be stuff ahead, so please do keep listening. If you wouldn't mind continuing to be excellent on social media, liking, subscribing, and rating us and reviewing us on iTunes, that would be amazing. Anyway, I've waffled for far too long now. Enjoy the episode, and as ever, keep flushing.
Talking Toilets with Alex Hope and William Smith.
Welcome to Talking Toilets.
Hello, welcome.
Welcome, but also
Welcome.
toilet news.
Toilet news. Oh, structure is being rewritten.
But then the structure of all of our lives has dramatically changed consistently. So hopefully this will actually
mirrors life.
Mirrors life. So hopefully it will be this weird kind of parallel
Subversion of expectations.
and things will feel slightly more normal. Now, this week, my toilet news comes from the Evening Standard, which I have to say honestly, I know, and also I'm even more pissed off with the Evening Standard because I live opposite a tube station. So I live opposite Tufnell Park. Tufnell Park is closed down. It will consistently be closed down until the economy properly restarts again. As a result, the Evening Standard have been instead of dropping their papers at the station, which they can't do anymore, they put them through all of our letterboxes.
Oh, that's really inconsiderate.
Well, it's a service that we haven't asked for. It's somebody else's putting their bacterial viral hands and things, spreading things around.
And due to the content, it might be considered basically
fascism.
Defecation. Fascism, but definitely defecation.
It's disgusting. But anyway, I thought I'd bring this to the party this week.
Yeah, well, it's very on point.
Very on point. So the headline of the article is Trump toilet paper to go on sale in Mexico. Have you heard of this? Have you heard of this yet?
No, I haven't.
No?
What a terrific find.
Cool. Yeah, I know. So the first thing is when you think about it, you think, what the fuck is this man doing trying to market toilet paper to the people that he hates? And
absolutely.
So, and then when you read, I
hope you fulfill my expectations of the second thing I was thinking of as well.
So, excellent, fine. So, Mexican lawyer Antonio Battaglia is set to launch a toilet paper brand of Trump in his home country later this year. So, the product will use the slogans, softness without borders, and this is the wall that, yes, we will pay for. So, I mean, basically, it's just the man is making toilet paper and just taking the piss out of Trump and is just trying to make money for it. But
good.
He is... Yeah, good. Good on him. But he is going to give 30% of all profits to organisations helping migrants entering the US, which I think is brilliant.
Excellent as well.
And the other amazing thing about this article, I mean, one, the branding is on top. It's basically that I know around the UK, when I went to... I can't remember what march it was. I think it might have been one of the Extinction Rebellion ones. This was ages ago. There was a man outside the Houses of Parliament with a stool, and it had Trump toilet paper.
Right.
And the idea is that you'd wipe your ass with the Trump toilet paper.
Right, okay, I see.
He was... The thing is, what was awful is that he was saying that he was giving money to mental health charities through you buy the toilet paper and then you're also donating to the charity. And it turned out it was a con. He was just selling toilet paper. But anyway, people, extortion, especially with Trump's face on, it's the perfect form of extortion. You've got the toilet papers and the idea of shit. I think it was, there is kind of like wonderful nuance there.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, I think it's a really good idea. Is a toilet paper is like the brand with Trump's face and hair on it with a big thumbs up. Fantastic. And the brand is going to be called Puros Roros, which translates to pure rolls and pure nonsense, which is
reams
wonderful.
And reams of the stuff.
Reams of the stuff.
Excellent. That's fantastic.
I think overall the best part of this is that Trump's name is everywhere. Yes. He's like Trump's. Even before he was the president, Trump's name is everywhere. It's on his building. It's in his liquidated casino. It's fucking everywhere.
On his steaks.
And on his steaks, on that chicken thing. He just is a marketing machine, and he does his best to prevent his name from being anywhere that it shouldn't. And equally, he's trying. I know that it says here that Trump trademarks have spread throughout the world, and brands bear his name, and he's even gone after those people who have used their own name as Trump as marketing, and he sued them because he's the one that's trademarked his own name.
Yes.
But this lawyer trademarked Trump toilet paper in 2015, which means that he's had that trademark for 5 years, meaning that gives him certain structures to be able to start releasing it in the US.
Oh, brilliant. So it's going to go across the border as well.
So it's going to be able to go across the border.
Well, listen, if anything, it's going to be a perfect decoration for any wall that will be built, which is no wall, because I'm sure they probably can't afford any wall at the moment.
Oh, absolutely not, no.
But listen, I think that's fantastic. I support this guy's endeavours. I'd love to get a roll of it myself. I wonder, though, has he, stolen the brand in terms of the name? Have you seen?
Let me share my screen?
Yeah, okay.
Let me share my screen
because I want to see that block capital. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, I get it. Yeah.
I think he smashed it.
Yeah, I think so. So on the toilet paper is the actual logos, him translated into Spanish.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But it's also
Trump
all he's doing.
paper.
The way he's going to have to play it. I mean, you have faith, just the fact that he's a lawyer, and also the fact that he planned this 5 years ago. So that's part of where we get the faith from. But also, when you look at it, there used to be a grenadine called William. It used to be just called William was the brand of the grenadine.
Okay.
And it was just a guy going with a thumbs up, very similar to this. And it's like, you're not suggesting that Donald Trump is anything to do with this. You've just coincidentally decided that your brand is called Trump, and you think Trump, because a Trump is a fart, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really? You're trumping about, you're farting everywhere.
Is it in America? It definitely is in Britain.
Unless he's somehow managed to mind wash everybody. I can't. It must have been
a Men in Black
phrase.
sort of.
Yeah, exactly. A neuralizer. Were they called?
I mean, if you watch 5 minutes of Fox News, Sean Hannity or that awful guy Bill O'Reilly. I don't know if he's still on it, but if you watch 5 minutes of that stuff, it is like being brainwashed.
Yeah, 100%.
And I mean, people will say that about left news sources, but I just don't like. Everything's shiny and everything's like an explosion of news or like a sort of crisis of news and a crisis of opinion. Whereas don't we want to talk to each other and ask questions and make sure we're making the right decision? Not everything should be like an explosion of opinion. It should be like satire. The next level of your decision, it's does it pass the litmus test of are people laughing at this just because you've come up with it? Are people laughing at you because you are parodying yourself?
I've just looked up the where the word Trump came from. You're absolutely right. It's an English word, and it comes from triumphant.
Oh.
So it comes from triumph and victory.
Oh, what a lovely etymology.
So the Latin triumphus. which I think is excellent because it's that idea that quite often a lot of our derogatory terms come from something that's positive and something that's positive and something positive that is, it's like pork barreling. So I learned there's pork barreling, which is, you know what pork barreling is?
Is it? Does it include pigs?
No. Well, kind of. It would have done. So you would do something good in your constituency, and your constituents, you would therefore, if you were good with your budgets, you would then give out pork barrels to people.
What, barrels of pork?
Barrels of pork, and then, so it started off as a positive thing, and then suddenly it became trying to win people's votes.
Right. So people were giving away pork barrels before they won the vote.
Precisely, to to please voters or legislators to win.
So
votes.
Trump has basically done that. He's taken what is joyous about the shittest parts of our humanity, and he's basically become one long unfunny fart.
Correct. Yes, which is exactly why we need the Trump toilet paper.
Yeah.
So just make sure we're all protected.
And to reclaim the word, of course, because we're going to need to work on that, aren't we? And we should definitely bring Trump toilet paper over to the UK in some way. Just start a craze so that we can reclaim the word. Yeah, fuck it. I like that Trump is based from triumph, because it's like there is that slight feeling, even if you're in a place where you shouldn't be farting, that trumping is like farting is there is something to celebrate about it, because there is. Oh look, there's that toilet brush as well that you saw on the floor.
Oh, I forgot that we're sharing. So I'm still showing my screen. Yeah, so this is that's the toilet brush, but it didn't have the holder.
Right, so it should have had an orange holder, of course.
That's exactly what it was. I was just looking to see whether we could buy this exact branded toilet paper.
I think you have to put Amazon.mez.
Mexico. Anyway, what toilet news have you brought to the occasion?
Okay, so my toilet news this week is your fault, Will.
Brilliant.
It's in the Financial Times. Unfortunately, they haven't got an expose with you, but I'm here to Paxman you and give you the hard fucking line.
Yeah, bring it on. Yeah, I'm fine. I've got no issue with that.
The UK sewage plants, they fear a deluge of stale beer, according to the Financial Times, writes Gil Plummer and Alice Hancock. Great names. There is a rush to replace stock ahead of pubs reopening, and that raises the prospect of environmental damage through oxygen depletion and also the destruction of microorganisms that digest the sewage in processing facilities. So I didn't know this, but apparently there are very small bugs that break down effluent, which is just waste liquid, at treatment plants. And the beer, any sudden release of it could overwhelm those bugs. So presumably they become drunk, which should be a good thing. But instead they're not doing their job and the sewage system becomes overrun. But also, if you release beer into open stretches of natural water, which I assume some back garden piss poor brewery in a rundown part of the country. I
imagine loads of people are doing that, I imagine.
That can damage the marine life by depleting the oxygen levels in the water, killing fish and plants.
Wow.
And I've heard of a drunken bass.
But wait, hang on. So when you say when they're just putting it straight down the drain?
If they do it without treatment, directly into rivers and beaches.
Directly into rivers and beaches.
But that's sewage as well. So it's the overflowing of those ill-treated sewage plants that causes sewage to overflow into natural.
Because then the main question there comes from, for me at least, comes from the similar place for when we discovered that when it rains, sewage overflows
into the Thames. Yeah.
So it's like, why are our treatment centres why are they not of high technological advancement? Why are they not able to deal with what should have been predicted, which is that there's an entire industry is going to go bankrupt and is going
I can answer this question.
It's been poorly funded by the 10 years of austerity by the Conservatives.
Yeah, that and just capitalism, mate. Profit. profit should be used to sort out the problems of the world. I don't know why it stopped in the sort of post-industrial revolution, beginning of war. We just started arms racing when we should have actually been continuing, the great exposition lifestyle of the world, which is like, how good can your fucking, social constructions be? How can you create nirvana? Like, how well can you do it? How cheaply can you do it? How happy can everyone be? That's what we should all be doing. And instead, we're all locked inside, coughing our lungs up.
Or not, hopefully not.
Well, hopefully not. But, I mean, we're going to go straight back into air pollution levels. And, there's just everything is shit all the time. And the beer shouldn't be creating problems either, but it is.
I think you need to look at your life if you think everything is shit all the time. I've only just started going back to work, however, and I feel that everything's shit all the time.
Okay, so at least I've got you on side for the first 5 days.
Yeah, so there might be a direct correlation here between the fact that you're working and I'm now working and everything's become shit all the time.
Yeah.
Awful, isn't it? There was this sense of being preoccupied, which I quite like. So I only ever use the word preoccupied mentally, as a negative thing. But then suddenly I realised that I was preoccupied with tasks to do. I had loads of minor tasks to do, and no matter how much I did it, you
keep adding to the list.
I've never finished. And it became this sense, I quite liked the permanence of it. It reminded me that my career is just constant reminder of failure, and that you're just gonna keep kind of clawing up the mountain, hoping that there's huge amounts of sales at the top of it.
Yeah, sales, and shortfalls of luck. Right. Oh, I found £1.
But really, what you discover is when you get to the top of that mountain, the people above you have just rewritten the laws of nature.
Yes,
and you're now on zero sea level, and you've got to climb even further.
Yeah, that reminds me of being in the Scouts, and we went to the Lomond Hills, which when you say it sounds like you're going to see this beautiful loch, and it's going to look very beautifully Scottish. But I think the route that we were taking up was a particular choice of the Scout leader, who was like quite a slave driver, I want to say. But anyone who's engaged in any form of cadet will be laughing at me saying this. But I look after myself, okay? But the hills that we were climbing. Have you heard of a blind summit? Of course you have. So climb.
Don't think
so you
so.
climb over.
But you can't see the top.
You can't see the top, so you see a top, and then you climb over that, and then there's another top. And I remember that happening at least 4 times, and being like, no, I'm just going to walk down the hill. I'm just going to walk down because that's a long. I now know that that's all downhill, and I've now reached 2 peaks basically because even though I haven't reached the top.
It depends what you're doing it for. If you're doing it for the exercise, then stop once you've kind of had enough. If you're doing it for the view, you keep going.
Of course. And now I would definitely do it for the view. But if we go back to the metaphor.
Yeah, sorry, of course.
There isn't a view. It's a reverse mountain.
Yeah.
That you climb backwards, and then because it's in an hourglass shape, it flips upside down and crushes you.
When I'm in sorry, I just got lost then in my.
That's life.
When I climb, when I do a really big, I think because my sensibilities in life are quite simple, right, in terms of what pleasures them.
Yes.
After I've climbed a really big, I've achieved something big. I've exerted energy. I want to have a nice beer or cocktail or just something alcoholic that's cold and refreshing. My God, I want to have a cigarette, which I'm not allowed to have anymore.
No, and you never really want that.
And you do, man. I always want that sweet nicotine.
Sweet.
You know what I mean? I just want to then suddenly destroy my senses and just kind of lull in the moment that I'm in.
Yes.
And it's just you can never do that because you're not going to fucking carry a huge cooler with ice and beer. Just that final experience.
Anyway, Talking Toilet says, please climb hills and drink responsibly.
Yes. Or just don't do either of those. No, don't climb hills, but drink responsibly.
Yes, yeah, drink responsibly. Pretend
you don't have
you've climbed
to climb
a hill.
hills.
No, you don't.
Yeah,
There's already enough hills in life that, you know.
Oh, God.
Yeah. That's effectively what I was trying to put forward, is that it doesn't matter about the hill you've climbed. There's a range of hills behind it that are just coming at you thick and fast. And,
brilliant.
Yeah. Okay, so how's your week been, Will?
All one big blur. I mean, I'm now back to work, just in terms of what's different with me.
How does it feel to walk past the rainbows in windows and thank you key workers banners that are strewn across the streets and just know that that isn't there for you?
Do you know what? I look at it, and for me, my thing is I look at it and I try to guess if it's being done A, by a kid in primary school, B,
in which case is it okay? Is it all right?
Well,
is it acceptable?
Well, but then I never get past the question. Do I think it's been done by a kid? Do I think it's been done by an adult pretending to be a kid? Is it done by somebody with learning difficulties? Is it done by a child who's been forced to do it? When I see two different ones in the window, I think about the competition between the two different age groups of the child. When I see one that is perfect and like completely symmetrical, I'm going, right, either that's an adult doing it or it's like a kid that's autistic and they're trying to like project their autism out into the world to try to... Yeah, it's bizarre. I don't honestly mind. The thing I don't understand is why we're allowed to open.
Yes.
Because there was a really good like meme going around, which I respect. We talked about the idea, you and I, many moons ago, probably episode 3, about how my hope for the future is that I wanted memes to actually... a meme is not the end of the process of progression.
No, it's a call to arms in a way.
Yeah, 100%. And it was basically like a picture of Boris Johnson holding 2 pints, and it was like, right, go to the pub, but only go to the pub if you can't drink at home. That one essentially.
Yeah, and if you can't drink at home, do this, do that.
If you can't drink at home, then
go to Barnard Castle.
Yes, you could go to the pub, but if you go to the pub, you need to make sure you stay 1 metre away, unless that is that you get so drunk that you're having to walk somebody home. But you need to make sure that even though while you're drunk, you need to stay alert, because that's what the advice is. So only essential drinking 1 metre away. Do you know what I mean? It's just
will save lives. And then what was missing from that meme though? I think I saw it on your story. Was please drink responsibly at the bottom, just to add insult to injury.
Well, my favourite. I think that's right. But I liked the way it ended, because it was like. And there will be a clap at 2 a.m. on a Thursday for the poor bartenders that earn a pittance to serve you your drinks.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, exactly. Because it's like...
That bell should be a harbinger of joy and celebration for you. And don't worry, I'll try and start the cheer. I promise.
Yeah.
Try and start the Mexican distance wave.
It's going to be awful. But it's things like, it's difficult to quantify extortion, especially when it's happening to you. And, this week, I'm easily going to push doing 65 hours on my 48-hour contract.
Uh-oh.
And that will put me way below minimum wage.
Yes.
As the person most responsible in the business. What can you do, eh?
Well, listen, when I see rainbows and thank you key worker banners, you know what it really means to me, because of all the work that I do that's so dangerous and life-threatening and life-saving as well. I feel nothing. I feel dead inside. I feel like a rainbow is drawn within me, and it's monochrome, black and white. It's like a black going through grey to white. It's that's how I feel.
Brilliant.
Suck it.
Is there anything you want to add?
So not a lot has happened to me this week. So I've done the right thing and looked at a few headlines. This headline is from last week, and it was sort of slipping through my left middle class metropolitan North London flat bubble. It's from Bloomberg, and the title is Italy had coronavirus in its sewage as early as December, study says. Which is confusing because I thought everything kicked off in February, and I thought those things saying we all had coronavirus in like January and February in the UK was just like sort of hearsay, and it was just people thinking that their cold was pretty bad. But it does make you think, doesn't it, that if you can look at something that is effectively like carbon dating the last 6 months through people's feces, like God bless those people that are doing that job. And, you know, you've tested in 2 places, it was Turin and Milan, this was found to be the case, that it was in early December that coronavirus was first there, and their wave was in February. So that's 3 months difference.
Well, it brings up a lot of questions, doesn't it? I mean, I do think it is important, the idea that, you know, if you're able to assess kind of like the bacterial and viral health of your, I don't know, of like of a country or an area, just by having some form of monitoring of the sewer system, then it makes sense, doesn't it? It should be something, you know, at least it should be something that is an ongoing process, just to predict. But then I suppose I don't have enough knowledge to know. Is it easy to be able to? Do you have to know what you're looking for? Well,
presumably, no, yes. They had, like, cross samples.
Because if they were able to find the C19 in December...
Yeah.
They wouldn't have been looking for coronavirus in December.
Yeah, exactly. So they weren't looking for it then. You're quite right.
But then they went back and looked at the samples?
Just to clarify, they take samples all the time and they keep them on file. And so I think they've been...
Do they? That's
it's not a great library to be in, if I'm being honest.
Oh, I think that's a great idea.
I mean, it is amazing, but just imagine if you stumbled in there on like a bad trip and you're just surrounded by walls and walls of tubes containing poo. That would be fucking terrifying.
I think I initially wouldn't think it was poo and would investigate further, I think.
Would you start with a scratch and sniff, or would you go straight for the, these look like nice
chocolatey truffles,
treats, mousses? Well, basically, the idea is that they keep them all on file, and they have tested, backdated to December that traces were actually there. So my thoughts on this is that there is a possible positive and a more likely negative that comes out of this, which is we are so possibly continuously going to be inundated by this for the next, you know, however many months. We can't really sort it out. We don't understand how it spreads, and we don't really understand, you know, what the danger is in terms of like waves flaring up and flaring down, and whether we should be relaxing anything at all until it's eradicated or there's a vaccine. And that's the bad part of it. And the good part is potentially all those colds that people said they had pretty badly in January in this country and December may have been the beginnings of, like, you know, getting the first wave out. And there's no way.
Which is what I massively disagree with, that idea.
Yeah.
I don't think that could be. I don't think it was, you know, you discover the virus. They discovered it in China, didn't they? They managed to work it out.
Late December, wasn't it?
Yeah, and then as a result, the way things kind of spread, they don't suddenly, you know, the coronavirus is the way that it attacks you, the way that it shuts down your kind of your breathing, your lungs, the way that it affects you. How do I describe this? We would have been aware if it had hit us. It's not something that, herd immunity had already begun in January and in February, and then it just got a bit worse in March. It's like, well, no, as soon as it hits you, it hits you.
Yeah.
It will have started to grow. Of course it would have done. And there will have been the odd people. But, you know, from there, because they've been doing antibody tests, and they've been doing plenty of, kind of just testing all the time. Well, at least they've finally got up to the mark. And they've, you know, just through their kind of data pooling, they've worked out that about 6%, I think 6%, like around 6%, it varies across the country, has had the coronavirus.
Has had it, yeah. Which is still a minimal percent, isn't it?
It's a minimal percent, and you would have imagined that figure would be a lot higher if it had already started in December.
Yeah. Well,
maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. This is the point. This is the point. Who fucking knows?
I hear loads of people when I walk past on the street mention that I had it back then. Oh, fucking Karen said that she had it then. I've got a mate who said that he lives in a warehouse in like Manor Park, and it's kind of constant communal living. If one person contracted it, they all would. It would be impossible for them not to, just because it's kind of illegal living. But yes, it's kind of legal. Yeah. A
lot of shared surfaces.
Precisely, everything's shared. So I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? It just came as a bit of a shock, because it's like, how do we really know that this thing isn't going to keep going and going and going and going and going? On the other hand, how do we know it's not going to stop soon? Like, this is the weird thing.
It won't. Yeah, it just won't. It's going to go on. I'd be very surprised if it's possible to get a vaccine. If there is a vaccine, it's not going to come in 2021. If it does, it's going to be towards the end of the year.
Yeah.
The UK economy at least can't cope with another lockdown, so people, even if there is a second wave, people are just going to die. Positive.
At this point in the journey, we like to discuss toilets that are of yesteryear, potentially, or are of note, or are just the shining examples of a certain topic picked at random, which today is luxury toilets.
Luxury. Got to have some consistency in the structure, haven't you? Topic toilet, always last.
Always last. Well, I look forward to it most.
My life and history of luxury toilets isn't a big one. In fact, it's doesn't exist.
Is that because you're a fucking pro?
I think it just doesn't exist. I don't think a luxurious toilet exists. You go in there and you defecate and you piss. What's luxurious about it? For me, if there's soap, if there's a sink that's at least 3 meters away from the toilet.
Yeah.
If I'm able to, if I enter and it's clean and I leave and it's clean, it's fully stocked, it smells nice. There's light, there's natural light. That's what I find luxurious about toilets.
Okay, so you're looking at more the luxuriants rather than a deluxe toilet, as it were.
When you say luxury toilet, you think
like it's been made, it's like been slapped up.
5-star hotel.
Basically, yeah.
Toilet.
The feeling works.
Give me your example.
The feeling works because aura and environment are the 2 points, isn't it? So like we're both bringing something different. Bringing
the whole point of topic is
experience.
that we're not gonna whatever you bring, whatever I bring, I'm right, you're wrong. That's just how it works.
Fair enough.
So what toilet do you find luxurious?
Okay, so I'm kind of stealing a few elements from different toilets, but the idea is it's in a hotel or a restaurant, and the one I've got in mind...
Okay, good. So there is one in mind. You're not picking loads of different elements.
There's one in mind.
Okay,
and fine. That's in...
Can't make your own.
Brasserie Zadel, which is a restaurant, sort of extravaganza. A restaurant extravaganza in Soho, Piccadilly, actually. And it's basically like a 3 venued restaurant place. It's got a little bistro at the top, which is like a cafe bistro. It looks very Parisian. And then downstairs, you're like fully smacked in the face with an Art Deco sort of chandelier as you sort of walk down this curving staircase into the sort of foyer where there's a cloakroom, and it's all in French. Everything's tatted up to the eyeballs, like with Art Deco. You've got a massive dining room, which is beautiful. It looks like it was on the Titanic. It's that kind of thing. Like it looks...
Yeah, white, gold.
Yeah, exactly. It's opulent. And then you've got all the waiters swanning around in like crisp, starched white shirts and, quite... Have you ever been to Betty's tea rooms in York? They all wear these like... It looks a bit sort of like S&M.
I love the idea that like I live in London and I've lived in London for 9 years and like, I've never mentioned I've gone to York, yet you think I'm more likely to go to a tea rooms than I am to have gone to this brassiere.
Yeah, probably. Like different sides of the coin, isn't it?
Go on.
So, and then in the other side of the dining room is the like Crazy Cock's cabaret room, which is like a cocktail bar. It's very glamorous. No, wait. It's like a cabaret bar, and then there is a cocktail lounge, which is really nice. And then finally, you're presented with the toilets, and the lighting is very low. The decor is like a sort of really dark wood. God bless you. God bless you. Gesundheit.
Thank you.
And it's a very dark, wooded, panelled, with some glass separating the urinals, like, with the wood panelling. And it's very dark and dim. The tiling on the floor is very, like, neat. Everything is just very... It looks like it was designed, like, without even the toilet being in mind. And that you know you're in there to go to the toilet, but it looks like a different room than a toilet.
Yeah.
In a nice way, not in a way that's like... Don't come in here. It's evil. It's disgusting. Or like, like a toilet with like fluorescent lights and tiles in the ceiling. I hate those.
Yeah.
It's like a more inviting sort of. This looks like a Turkish baths. Like it might be a changing rooms, or it might be like it's nice. And the elements that I'm gonna incorporate into this room, one of which it already has, and this is really bad, and I know that at Talking Toilets we're proponents of recyclable means of drying your hands and energy efficient ways, but it's like you get a towel that you dry your hands with, and then you throw it in a washing up bin. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's probably wasting so much water when they get washed. But I'm guessing it's along with all the linen in the restaurant, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like, that is the kind of thing you need for luxury.
It sounds lovely. It sounds... While you told that story...
You were yawning, yes.
No. It reminded me of a moment where I had something... So, at first I was thinking... How is there this grand, huge place in Soho? Because like, I go out in Soho loads, and it's always tiny bars. Do you know what I mean? Tiny cocktail things.
Oh, it's hidden away. It's hidden away.
Is it? Okay, well, that's amazing. So that was my first thought. But then I had this memory of, and this wasn't the toilet I was going to talk about, but I was walking. I was going to. So my company also owns a place in. I suppose it's near Brick Lane, kind of like area.
Yeah.
And I got out the station at Bank, and I'd been drinking quite a lot because I'd gone to like a training session beforehand, and then I had this meeting, and the training session was loads of different spirit providers had turned up with their, and I had tried about 15 different cocktails, but had only like sipped them. But I find it very difficult to sip cocktails, so I basically
that'll still do it.
I'd basically drunk too much, and was on my way. And I was walking down the street in Bank, like heading towards Brick Lane. And there was the man, like in a black coat, had a hat. He was the concierge or whoever he was, standing outside, the doorman.
Okay.
And because I was going to a meeting and it was like with all the head off, it was like, probably my third week as a general manager. I probably looked quite smart. I did have my backpack on. But I was like, oh, mate, do you mind if I use the toilet? And he was like, do you have an invitation? I went, yeah, of course I do. He was like, yeah, okay, cool, great, no problem. Open the door and in I walk. And you walk in, and it was this so it looks like you were walking into an office or like an office / somebody's home, like almost like like a zone 2 accountants kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't think anything amazing's happening.
Yes.
And I entered, and it was this huge room, huge, unfathomably huge, ornate. In the middle of the room,
unfathoming.
In the middle of the room was this circle stage raised above, almost like something you'd see in the 80s, like in an 80s London kind of style vibe. With so there was a pianist, a celloist, and a singer, just all of there, just like playing music, but very softly. It was very, very nice. And you had people on the left drinking, people on the right drinking, people in front of you eating, all around this kind of huge circle. And I just, bumped into one of the waiters, and I just said, "Where's the toilet?" And he went down the stairs. I at no point didn't feel as if I wasn't welcomed, but I definitely didn't belong there. Okay. It was went down the stairs with these like huge marble stairs, with there not being a single sign for the toilet. How anybody knows where it is, I'm not sure. Then I was presented with 4 kind of like mahogany doors, and you're just looking at them, not knowing what to do.
No signage.
There's no signage, but then suddenly there's a man behind me who's kind of running down the stairs, and he apologises because he's just like, "Oh, sorry," he's clearly the doorman. And he goes, "Would you like to order a drink?" And I go, "No, I'd like to use the toilet." And he goes, "Well, do you want me to like deliver a drink arrive for you after you finish the toilet?" And I go, "No, I really need to pee." So he points to one of the doors, and then I go in, and it's this huge kind of marble room with lovely urinals. Everything is mahogany, everything. Okay. Dim lighting. I pee, and then as soon as I pee, I run the hell out of there. 1, because I didn't feel I belonged, and 2, because I was late for my meeting. But the whole experience I thought was wonderful. And, being in a huge room with this kind of it was almost as if I'd gone back in time. It was magical. Yeah. But the one thing I found most fascinating is that I've never reached a level of opulence. I've never reached a level of opulence where I've had a waiter manning the toilet door, offering to deliver a drink to my table for when I've finished urinating.
Yeah.
I think that's wonderful.
I mean, it is amazing. It's like, cutting journeys down in a pub or a bar, which is what it would be called.
But also the amount of people, customers there were, buying extortionate drinks, all kind of... It was a huge room, but it was packed. There was loads of people there, all dressed in tuxedos and lovely dresses, and it was, it was wonderful. It was like I'd gone back in time. But they were clearly spending a lot of money, and they were able to spend their labour having a man the doors. It's wonderful. Anyway, that's the most... I was going to tell a story about when I went to a nice hotel and they mistook me for somebody else and upgraded me, and then it turned out they didn't mistake me for somebody else. It was just a ploy that they do.
Oh, so you got an upgrade.
I got an upgrade, basically, but the bathroom... The reason they gave me an upgrade is because the bathroom didn't function properly. The lovely bath, which had all the spa things, didn't work.
Oh.
So it was like, oh, they got the spa. And he was like, yeah, that's kind of why we gave you the upgrade. And it's like, oh, thank you. It did have its own private mini pool, though, looking out over the mountains of Turkey from Greece.
So listen, I've never had an upgrade ever. I'm jealous whenever I hear that sort of newfangled thing happens. The only time I've experienced it, and I don't really count this, is when my train is overbooked and I get pushed into first class. And then I get a free bottle of water.
An upgrade by default.
Yes, an upgrade by default, which doesn't feel like very, special.
Sorry, that reminds me again. I remember I was on a train going to the Edinburgh Festival. I can't remember what play I was in, but I think it might have been Spring Awakening. And and it was so hot. It was just boiling. And at the beginning, they come round with bottles of water. Yeah. And they came around with bottles of water and like a handheld fan. And it was like, well, instead of giving me some form of refund on my ticket, because it's unfathomably hot and you've oversubscribed the train, you're just going to give me a bit of recyclable plastic and a tiny bottle of water that's going to make me want more.
Yes, and it's also non-recyclable.
And it's also non-recyclable.
Because they don't have any recycling. So listen,
there we go.
We've given the impression to all our listeners that we care not for luxury that much, more so than we care for just being able to go back to a pub and have a wee there.
That's true. I also really care for the unknown. Like
yes.
and it was quite magical. Like it was serendipitous, just kind of like tripping over a doorman asking if I could go to the toilet.
Yeah.
The man knew I wasn't invited in. He kind of looks at me in a cheeky way and was like, "Are you invited?" As if to say, just say yes and you can go and use the toilet.
Right.
And I then ran in and used the toilet, and it was really wonderful. I felt very lucky to have it.
Did you feel a little bit like you were, being taken up a rung? Like
not at all. I think maybe what I didn't say in the story, or what I didn't emphasise enough, was my need and urgency to pee.
Yes.
I was very much, I need to pee, I'm going,
right.
Wow, look how amazing this place is.
Yeah, right, okay, so it's like a byproduct.
Why is this man asking me if I need to drink? Like my table number, no, I need to go to the toilet.
But having said that you love the idea of the unknown, like, there are so many toilets I want to try in Japan, like, after all I've heard. And I'm sure there's luxuriant toilets and just luxury toilets.
Yeah.
Aplenty. Yeah, cool. All right. So, yeah. Sweet.
Luxury. Brilliant. So, do you have any hopes for the future?
Not particularly.
No, I don't at all. I just want I don't know what I want.
6 months. You want to leave in 6 months.
I want to leave in 6 months. I want to be by the sea. I want to be able to afford a place that has a garden. Yeah. I want to have an extra room that I don't need.
Oh.
I want to have I want to cycle instead of getting the tube.
That's a good idea.
I want to live in a city that doesn't make me feel like I'm going to die on the roads. I want to live in a city with 600,000 people instead of 11 million. That's what I want.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I want to go to a gig. I want to go to a jazz club. That'd be fun.
Oh, in Paris.
Yeah. Where they still let you smoke inside, even though that doesn't happen in Paris.
Maybe we should go.
The last time I smoked in a pub, it was in Germany, in an Irish bar.
Really?
And I had a Guinness upstairs with my acting friend Angus, great stand-up comic Angus Dunican, who I hope we can get on the show at some point.
That'd be great.
And he sat there watching me smoke a cigarette because he doesn't smoke. And I was like, I'd really like to go to this bar because it's the only one that does Guinness. We were sat there with 2 Guinnesses and I was just sat there. It was so sad. It was so sad. It was like so quiet. Just like...
Lovely.
Well, this is as good as it was cracked up to be by everyone who was alive in the 90s. Yeah, so... yeah, not many hopes for the future.
Great.
My hope for the future is that we can smoke inside again. Bring back our smoking.
Wonderful. Well, I mean, we really hope you've enjoyed listening to our depressing rambles this week.
Should we call this the Blue episode?
I think it should be called the Blue episode. Something to recognise that if you're having a bit of a down day, this might not be the episode.
Okay, I'll put a disclaimer at the top.
Yeah, that's a good idea. But yeah, great. Thank you very much for listening. If you have enjoyed it, please check out our socials.
Yep.
Instagram and Twitter, Talking Toilets _
And Facebook is Talking Tea Podcast, and you can email us at talkingtoiletspodcast@gmail.com. And as always, don't be a prude. Don't be depressed like us.
Like us.
What you could do is do what Will and I now have both decided to do and get a pet.
Are you getting a pet?
So we might be. So Louisa got a friend who messaged her the other day saying, you need to look on this ad on Facebook. And it was basically like this guy who's got stage 4 cancer basically being like, I need someone to look after my dog when I go into the hospital. And it's a 3-legged staffy called Bailey. And apparently she's 12 years old, so she's not the sprightliest thing.
Oh, Bailey.
But Bailey is welcome here if she so chooses, and if she so sniffles and likes it. And obviously, let's not forget Yuri?
Yuki.
I'm sorry. Yuki, who is Will's delightful snow kitten.
Good old Yuki.
Good old Yuki.
Love that. Love Yuki. Yeah, brilliant. Yeah, lovely.
But yeah.
And if you can drink at home, do it.
Yeah.
If you can't drink at home, then do your necessity drinking at a pub on the 4th of July.
Specifically drink at Will's pub so that he remains in work and his...
Yeah, if you... Neighbour in Kentish Town. If I haven't talked it down enough, come. Right.
They have beer.
They do have beer, and we do have toilets. And please remember to keep flushing.